GURL. Oh, GURL, a regular read of the latest LGBT plus trends, TV, and the ever-expanding world of drag. Hello there, I'm the Velvet Snatch, and welcome to this Season 4 of GURL. As usual, I'm joined by the scintillatingly wonderful Thotter Stu.
Don't think I've ever had scintillatingly wonderful as a title. I quite like it. I'm putting it on my CV.
Or Grindr profile.
Both.
And of course, he's fresh from the gym. It's the delightful gym bunny, Glenn.
I went swimming today. It was wonderful. Washed away all my sins.
Yeah, do you still have to use the armbands, or are we past that?
I'm onto the foam stick.
the little foam board thing.
Yeah, and it keeps my boobs up just nice.
Keep at it. The boobs will become pecs, hopefully. And as our delightful special guest this week, we are overjoyed to welcome the wonderful, what did we say, the iconic queen of TV's rise and fall. It's James Allen. How are you doing, my dear?
Hi everyone, nice to speak to you. I just want to say you're all fucking parasites.
He's correct.
I mean, I've never heard it said in speech, but I get a lot of messages saying that, so it's fine.
No.
And that's just from me and Glenn.
But yes, though, how are things going for you, James?
Yeah, life is good. Obviously, the show has recently, it's been like a week now since the show's finished airing on television. So it's like a strange limbo stage of, okay, what's happening next? The show's just finished. I still feel like I'm reliving it every day because I'm doing amazing podcasts like this, and I'll be with you guys at Totally Drag as well. So yeah, it's a very I feel like I'm living two lives at the moment. I'm back to my normal life doing my employment coaching and fitness instruction, but now I'm also in the public eye in a strange way, and people walking down the street are like, "Oh, you're so and so from the show, aren't you?" And I'm like, "I am." So it's a very strange but exciting time.
Was
I
it
love how
weird?
modest that I am was.
Yeah, it's like, yes, I am.
Yes, I am Ramona. Thank you. I am the boss bitch.
I'm the boss bitch. Yes. Boss bitches doesn't need to say they're a boss bitch because boss bitches don't need to say they're boss bitches.
There we go.
Amen.
That's going on my tombstone. Has it been, were you watching it on TV? Because obviously when we were speaking to everyone from the Traitors, they were saying how weird it was that you finished filming and then you had to wait to watch the edit on television. How was that for you?
Well, I guess I can go with the inside tea now it's all finished. So I actually, when I got eliminated, obviously the day I got eliminated was the day it came on television. So I got eliminated at 3:00 in the morning on Sunday, which was obviously very traumatic, calling an old man a parasite. And then I was in this hotel room on my own at 5:00 in the morning with no phone, nothing to do besides watch television. I put the TV on at 5:00 in the morning, right? The first thing that came on was Channel 4 and an advert for the show. So my head was spinning at that point. I was like, what am I doing? Where am I? This is just all too much. And then I came home, and then 10:00 at night, I'm watching myself on TV after just filming it all. So yeah, it's a strange experience because it's almost like PTSD. You know when you go through a really harsh breakup and a song comes on the radio you used to love together, and then all of a sudden you just feel so sad or angry. Yeah, you just feel exactly those feelings, it's just happened to you because it technically has, rather than it getting brought up 6-7 months later. You are reliving it a couple of days after it's just happened to you.
That's crazy that it's such a quick turnaround, because obviously when we were speaking to drag queens from UK Drag Race during the pandemic, they were like, we had to wait a year until our shows aired and we had no idea what we did.
To be fair, that's quite similar to Season 5 queens, though. They're going to be probably waiting a year.
It's crazy how quick they started filming that. It's just we were like, oh, Season 4's done and we're filming Season 5. And you're like, okay, right, maybe breathe.
Season 15's just finished, and then they're releasing the whole thing of All Stars 8 now. And I'm like, Jesus Christ,
that filmed ages ago though.
It's crazy how you don't realize until you're in it how amazing their production teams are behind these things. People work and breathe and live television, right, and entertainment, and the people who do it don't get enough credit because obviously the people who are on camera are the ones who get all the glory, really, aren't they? But without them, we wouldn't be anything. So it's insane.
Yeah, that's it. The amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. I think nowadays, now that we have more people that do content creation and stuff, that they're kind of going, oh, editing's really difficult. Oh, whoever did this must have been working really hard, and hopefully we've got more of an appreciation for, the people behind the scenes now.
So obviously, after being on the show and then kind of having your little euphoria PTSD sort of moment, did you ever have any regrets for going on in the first place?
Regrets for going on the show?
Yeah.
No regrets whatsoever. Like, I've always wanted to be on television in that sense and do something really cool. So like, I feel like I've had this calling my entire life to be like, right, you need to be like in the spotlight or in the public eye. So it was just a long time coming. So I applied to go on The Traitors, and then for some reason that didn't go through. And then I almost got on The Apprentice and Married at First Sight and all that jazz. Like, I was so close to everything. It just didn't happen. I have no regrets of going on there. At the end of the day, like, if you're going through the entire process of going on a television show, you've got to want to do it. Unless you're Ali, of course.
I mean, it's really good that you're like that, though, where you're going, oh, I've got this calling, like, I really want to do this, like, I really want to be in the spotlight, because, like, you're really charismatic. It's good that you've been on the television now and everyone's like, yeah, he is really charismatic, so hopefully it's going to open a lot of doors,
Hopefully.
So what was the, like, best lesson you took away from, like, the experience of being on the show?
The best lesson is trust your gut, because whatever you feel is the right feeling, right? Everyone likes to second guess themselves, or they and they are, or the most important thing to do in life, and I've learned this on the show as well, is you look forward and you have to look at what is going to benefit you. If you look left and you look right at what other people are doing, it's going to blur your ideas and perceptions of everything else, and opinions that come in aren't necessarily the right ones. And sometimes the right opinions that don't fall in line with yours anyway make you go off track regardless, right? So don't allow anybody to sway your opinion and sway your thought process. Unless your Conan follows in suit of me, of course, because everything I did, he followed in suit of. But yeah, I think I wasn't a trailblazer as such, but I've always been very headstrong. Like, I'll come home and tell my family I've done something after it's happened, and they're like, didn't even know it was happening. I was like, well, because I don't need you to tell me what I can and can't do. Plus, I'm 26, but also I don't need your opinions. And there's friends and family as well. Like, I never, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. If I wanted to jump off a bridge, I would do it because I wanted to do it. I've always been that. With a bungee jump, of course.
Okay, well, that's it. Okay, well, maybe not right now. Maybe save it a bit. But I think it's a really interesting attitude, and what you're saying about like not just implicitly trusting the opinions of others kind of thing, and I don't know, second guessing yourself is something that I think a lot of people can relate to, because a lot of people compare themselves to other people, and then you go, well, you can't be that other person. You have to deal with what you've got and the skills that you've got and do the best with them.
No, and that's so true. And like, I think I know my skill set personally, and I'm a very personable person. So people have now sort of described as being quite street smart, but I sound quite people smart. Like, I've gone to uni and all that jazz. I'm not a very academic person, but I'm very good with people. I use a very good judge of character, and it's gotten me really far in life now. So I'm not going to stop using that when it comes to a game show. That's the best bit about being somebody who is so switched on with people, is in a game about people, right? So yeah. I maneuvered myself so well to the point of doing so well and being the best ruler at the point in the game that it ended up me having to come out of the game because I was doing so well. And then that sort of showed the others lose sight of what being a ruler is or being a leader is, right? It's not about taking out the competition. It's about how can we benefit with these skills that we've got. And the grafters are the ones who are the most important. Same as management in real life. Sometimes they take their power too seriously to lead or be a boss rather than allow people to be themselves and flourish in their own way.
Yeah. I mean, how would it have been, though, if you had got onto the Traitors, though? Because obviously with this kind of confidence and this kind of charisma, I think people would be like, nah, it got to be, can't possibly trust this guy. He's too trustworthy,
Hold your cards close to your chest. I'm not stupid. Obviously, I know I need to, obviously we're doing a podcast, right? I can be charismatic and loud because I want people to see me for me. Going on the Traitors, you have to hold your cards close to your chest until you can sort of start to trust people and open up and be yourself a little bit more. And that's what I sort of did on Rise and Fall as well. You can't reveal everything about yourself to somebody. And that's like, again, in real life, people tend to open up to me quite a lot, quite quickly. And I think that's just like this natural thing I've got with people. And that's always in my advantage because I'm like, okay, a bit of ammunition for later on then. And that's exactly what I was in the Traitors. Exactly what I would have done the traitors.
Okay, yeah, I know. I totally agree there. That's very good.
Kind of would like to see you cast on the traitors now, but I want to go on there, so maybe not the same season. So speaking of skills, not necessarily people skills, but maybe skills in general. Obviously, you did a few work shifts, but then you got to Rise. Out of all the ones that you didn't get to do that you've obviously seen now, what would you have hated the most? Like, what was the least desirable of those work shifts to you?
I think for me, I would have hated to have done the waist removal shift, to be completely honest, because it was just grim to watch. Like, to imagine being in it is grim, right? Watching it, like, yeah, let's keep going. It was very fun to make them do it all. It wasn't a nice situation and a nice environment to be in, I don't think. And I'm very much a clean freak. Like, I played rugby when I was 13, right? And I quit because I hated the mud. I was like, I can't deal with this mud. I'm going to be a swimmer.
That is much cleaner, to be fair.
Yeah, so I was a swimmer then until I was 16. But yeah, that was the worst one I wouldn't want to have done.
Yeah, I think you got lucky when you rose. That was a good time.
I'm surprised. I think the plate-licking one was the worst.
Well, I did the dog food, right? I had to actually swallow it, and I don't swallow it the best of times, to be completely honest. So the fact they would have been good to spit it out, it would have been a great bit of tongue action. I mean,
it didn't even look like food. It looked like they were licking Play-Doh off plates, and I was just like, I'm not the best with like food in general anyway. I'm a bit. I can especially when it was like fish. I was like, nah.
When you're in the environment of the money is everything and being a leader is everything, you will do things to stand out or to make the cash. So you'll be surprised. Like, if you go on the trails of the circle, right, you will maybe have to go against someone you don't want to go against, but you will because you want to stay in the games.
When you rose to the penthouse and avoided the waste removal, what was the most lavished thing you experienced, apart from Greg James?
The most lavish thing. I think for me, the food was the most lavish thing because I love food. I love to eat. And everything you wanted was there, and you'd wake up for breakfast, and it was this huge spread, right? And when I rose from being a grafter to a ruler, the first day I was sat there on my own, and I'm like, avocado. I'm like, do you know what I mean? It's like I've never had it before. And then there's like this cafetiere there as well with probably instant coffee in it. I'm like, coffee, like stuff I've never had in my life. And I would say the food, because it was just so exquisite and so lavish and just so out of this world every time you were eating. It was just, the food was amazing. Everything else was like fine. Hot shower, you're used to all that stuff, but you don't come home from a day of work to a spread, do you? So that was the best bit.
I've never seen someone get that excited about an avocado.
I like it.
Soup, bread rolls. I'm going to tell you a bit of tea about the bread rolls a little bit, actually, because everyone goes on about fucking bread roll. So to eat bread and soup, and then to all of a sudden have an array of color and flavor in front of you, you're like, whoa. It was only 5 days for me, but I was really taken aback. Not emotional as such, but it was very much like, whoa, okay, these people downstairs are actually eating this 24/7. It's not just an on-camera thing. It's like, this is it. This is their life. This is my life now. And you sort of do feel quite bad. Tea with the bread rolls, right? Basically, Eddie won because of the bread roll situation. Am I wrong?
No.
They all basically said, oh, Eddie kept fed down there, blah, 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 blah. He didn't know how to make bread, but who did? Me. Who knew how to make bread and taught him to make bread, but wasn't shown on the show? Me. Day 2 and 3, I was the one being called Star Baker for helping him make the bread rolls, and then I said, oh, Eddie, you can take over then. And all of a sudden, wow, Eddie, bread rolls.
So you should have been winner by proxy, really. I mean, you were...
Should have been winner in many ways, to be honest.
I think Eddie owes you some cash.
I think Eddie owes me at least 50%.
So, okay, speaking of struggles there, I mean, like, have you experienced, like, obviously you've got a wonderful professional career and whatnot. Have you experienced the same kind of power struggle outside of the show?
Never in work. I don't take anything serious. And that's not because I don't take what I'm doing serious, but I never take anything to heart, especially when it comes to work, right? My job doesn't define me as a person, and that's how I see the world. Like, whatever I'm feeling doesn't define me. What I want to do in life is not what I'm doing right now. It pays my bills, but where I want to be is somewhere else. So it doesn't define me. I would say the biggest struggle I've had in terms of power and all that jazz would probably be one of my only relationships, to be honest. And that was a turbulent one.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate or?
It was just very much like so I came out for this person at 20 because their culture wouldn't allow them to. So we got together and I thought, right, for us to have a relationship, we need some sort of safe space. So I thought, right, I'm probably going to be safe to come out. So I came out to my friends and family pretty soon after we got together, just so we had that space. And at this time, probably wouldn't be quite open. So you put in whatever you wanted. I had never slept with anyone. I was 20, not a girl, not a boy, and I knew I was gay from a very young age. So I've hid that for a long time, and to be open about it, it was quite a big change. But it was very much a controlling. It was always a power struggle. It was very much like they wanted to keep me in the shadows because I think they knew what they had, and it got to the point where I believed I was nothing without them, and there was a power struggle to have to fight. But it was a battle every day of, okay, they think I'm enough, but they make me believe I'm not enough.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And it was confusing, and it was very much like, you can't wear this, you can't wear that, you can't be friends with them, you can't go gay clubbing, you can't. It was very controlling, but looking back on it now, it's very much it was me having to dim my light for someone else's insecurities. Yeah. And that was the power struggle that I didn't realize I had until it was over.
So, which is really scary, and I think you see it a lot with like couples where one of them is like really attractive and that the other one becomes very paranoid and very sort of, but then end up driving the guy away. Like they end up driving the person away because they're like, hey, I've become so controlling because I'm so scared about losing you that I've made it horrible to be with me. And it's like, yep, people are stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk forever about obviously things to do with relationships and things. I'm very much big on like, want to be a champion for each other, and regardless if like they're the most amazing person, best looking person in the world or they're not, like you love them for who they are, and they should be on that pedestal forever to you, rather than trying to knock the pedestal down.
Yeah,
to be on their level. And that's how I sort of see it. It is hard, and you do see it, especially within our community. And since I've come out the show, I've had a lot more exposure and engagement with our community, and a lot more compliments as such. Let's just say that, to say the least. And if I don't have chance to reply, or I don't reply, it's very much like, oh, you're so fucking arrogant. You think you're this, that, and the other just because you look so handsome, and you're this, that, and the other. And I'm like, one, you don't know me. Two, just because I haven't replied doesn't mean I don't want to speak to you, but I haven't got all the time in the world to answer you. And then people jump to a conclusion because you're handsome, in quotation marks, that you're arrogant, when I don't base myself and my self-worth on how I look, because I haven't always, looked this way. I've gone through transformations in my own life. So I value myself on my spirit, my character, how I treat people, and how I carry myself as a person. But they don't know that, and they just think of it as, oh, he's handsome, so fuck him.
Well, I think that's the thing, and especially with like from a show like this or whatever, where we get to see you playing a game, where we get to see you sort of like doing that. But I think it's the idea of, obviously, like there are a lot of insecure people out there, and like if you're left on scene for a while or something, or you don't reply, then they read into it without realizing that people have 101 other things to do in their lives.
Yeah, everyone's insecure, and I think the best thing to think about it is, when you don't want to call out people's insecurities, because then it makes it worse, but also, you got to think about what are people going through in real life that you won't know about. I mean, we've probably all got something going on right now, between all four of us, right? But we probably don't know, and we just think, oh, they're these charismatic people. And on the show, I got called out for my insecurities shining through, which didn't bother me because I've dealt with how I feel in terms of my insecurities. But if someone was really insecure during the filming process and to be called out for it, and in such a pressured environment, I can imagine that would have been really hard to deal with. But I'm not, because I actually don't agree. I didn't agree, because I've had my insecurities, and I had insecurities for 20 odd years. I'm 26 now, and I've dealt with them for the 6 years of me coming out of the closet. I don't like that now, for me coming out as gay, right? So I've dealt with them. So my insecurities are now my strength. If people can't make them their strength, it's going to make you feel worse. So don't pick on people's, flaws, because we've all got them.
That's really good advice. I think that's a really good way of thinking about it.
Around keeping your insecurities as your strength, what people did you keep close to you who were your strength within the show, and who do you still keep in touch with now?
So we all still keep in touch quite a lot. We're actually all meeting up tomorrow in Essex and Chigwell for like a cast rap party. The people around me in the show was definitely Joanna, Jack, Sydney, and Connor. Those were like the sort of the top four, with all in different periods and for different reasons. Sydney helped me get through the basement a lot because we were like very similar. We were like brother and sister and like best friends from like day one. And when I rose, actually, she turned to Jack whilst we were all in bed and goes, "Oh, I don't want James to go. He's my best friend down here." And that was really wholesome. And she didn't say it to me; she said it to Jack, but I overheard it, and I was like, "Oh, that's touched me."
Oh.
And so they all got me through it at some point. Obviously, I know Connor obviously got me out at some point, but at the end of the day, it was the game, so no hard feelings. But we had each other's back. We could go to each other, and there wasn't anybody else like me and Connor from the community, really, who we could sort of talk to about other things. So, yeah, he was really close, and Jack was just Jack the lad. He always made me laugh, and he was like my older brother. And Joanna said she wanted to climb me like a ladder, which was absolutely fine. But she is a phenomenal woman.
Get a foot on every rung.
And she also like brought a lot of light to maybe darker situations.
That's fair enough. And I mean, if that's the first thing someone says to you, of course you're going to be friends with them. So we've already had the little bit of tea about the bread rolls and who actually started off that situation. Is there any other unaired gossip, any little exclusives that we could get out of you?
Oh, I need to have a think. Is there any questions that you have of like, oh, did this happen? Did that happen? Perhaps.
Oh no, we like unaired, unspilled tea. Like we want it to come to mind.
I guess. Oh, I don't know. It's like unaired. Well, I wouldn't say who. There were certain people who would do certain things in order to be seen more on camera. And it got to the point where it was like, oh, fucking hell. Like, we know what you want. We know why you're here. And you just fucking take a chill pill. It's not going to happen. It's boring. Or they'd speak into the mic to be like, can I go and do this because this is going to be really cool? And they'd speak to like the gallery who was listening to all of our conversations. And we'd be like, desperate?
Girl. So moving on from Rise and Fall, we want to know a little bit about you. So, like, outside the show, like, what has been your most memorable life experience so far?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we just immediately hit you with a heavy question after talking about it.
Life experience. I don't know. I've been very lucky in my life. Like I have a very loving, caring family and a very nice group of friends and a very close knit group. So like, if ever I did anything wrong in life, they were the ones to support me regardless. You know what I mean? I guess. So when I went through my traumatic breakup, then let's say it's not going to be all about my breakup. I promise.
Just make it. Do your full Taylor Swift thing.
Yeah, honestly, I gotta air it out. I flew to Canada for a few months and worked out there during the pandemic and when it all happened, and I just sort of was like, wow, this is like sort of like the making of me now, because I went through something very awful. We're still going through the after effects of it, but I thought, right, I'm gonna just fly away. Go to halfway across the world, as far as I could possibly go during the pandemic, and like just live my best life and explore my newfound self. So I'd never actually have been gay and been single and been confident. So I took those 3 months that I was away to explore and find who I am as a person, to find my new self as such, and that was really cool. Obviously, besides this, to go on television as well, that's probably going to like be the top of my list forever now. It's hard because I guess like I'm so used to doing like quite sporadic, spontaneous things that I'm quite used to doing cool things.
I'm really jealous of the Canada trip, to be fair. It's somewhere that I really want to go.
To be fair, Stu, we've spoken to half the drag queens in Canada on this very podcast, so we already know everyone over there.
Yeah, I've got plenty of places to stay, pretty sure.
Yeah.
Sleep on someone's couch, maybe Jimbo, we'll see.
Sleep on Jimbo's couch. She's never bloody there. She's in the UK all the time. Just break into the house of Jimbo. That's what we'll do. We'll squat.
I know, because it's recorded now. Legally, I can get in trouble for that because we've recorded it on audio.
Oh, boo.
So obviously, you've had a lot of good experiences so far. What about goals for the future then? Is there anything in particular you've got in mind, or maybe another TV show that you would like to, slide into?
So goals for the future. Definitely more television work. Again, reality TV is something I love to do, but I'd like something a bit more secure. I think I'd love to try presenting. I got a bit of a knack for that as such, but would love my own podcast as well. But just sort of go into the wellness industry a little bit, because I do group fitness. I'm a personal trainer. I'm really into like my skincare and like mental health, physical health. I'm really big into that, and I'm a very big advocate for all of those things. And like for what I do as a job as an employment coach, it's not just forcing people back into work where people think. It's about people's health and mental health journeys, and you've got to help people in so many different ways. And I'm very big on like giving all the energy that I have to people to make them feel good. And I would love to be able to do that on a bit of a bigger of a mass scale as such, because that's what I feel like I'm here to do on Earth. As cringe it might sound, like I feel like I'm of service to people in like a very spiritual, mental way. And I also, my biggest thing, like I love skincare. You saw me with my tiger mask and my jade roller on the television, right? I love skincare. I want my own skincare brand. I want to run my own company and sell skincare.
I think you've got a good mindset though, because you know exactly what you want to do and you know what your personality type is. You just need to connect the dots. So, you know, and if you ever want any podcast tips, don't ask us. We're terrible.
Thank you. Well, no, I think you're doing a good job. I mean, it's do you know what? Coming out of it, like I lived such a normal life. I lived a very blessed life as such, but like the life I've lived has been very normal to like the industry that I'm sort of like got my toes in at the moment. And the fact that, you know, there's potential things happening in the future is really, really cool. And yeah, I think like just you gotta hit the ground running with these things, haven't you? And like I said to Rossi earlier over a voice, and I said we need to ride this horse until it dies, and then once we've jumped off, it should be set and secure. So that's sort of what the plan has to be, right?
I love that metaphor.
Yeah, you have to keep on the horse until it literally can't keep going, and then jump to the next one.
I always thought it was keep on the horse until it died.
On the horse.
Yeah.
I don't know what you get up to on a Thursday evening.
It sounds expensive regardless.
So, as part of the fabulous LGBTQIA plus community, what advice would you give to somebody to embrace their identity and be able to feel very fulfilled within themselves?
Oh, that's a very good question. I guess I'll just have to talk on experience that I've had of my own. It's like if you're in a room full of people and like you love and they're meant to love you and they're your so-called friends and family, and if being fulfilled in yourself means walking away from people, walk away, because they're not in your skin, they're not in your mind, they're not in your current situation of trying to discover an identity that's wonderful, that's you. And don't be scared to break the mold of family, of friends either, if it's going to benefit you as a person. And at the end of the day, your mental health is really important, but your identity is just as important and ultimately forms who you are. So if you need to go on a journey of self-discovery for that identity and turn your back on people that might not want you to, you have to do it to make yourself happy.
Tying into that, like, you know, you spoke earlier about like coming out at 20. Like, how was your experience embracing your identity? Like, you know, because the way you said it makes it sound like you were just like one day just like, mother, I'm a homosexual, you know. You know, it's like, what was it like? Like, did you know from an early age? And it was like this, you know, were you dreading it? Because obviously I'm older than you and I've got the wonderful thing of going, wow, my parents weren't okay with it when I came out, but now they're like, oh, this is fine kind of thing. And it was like a wonderful gradual relationship change, I think.
Yeah, I think before I discuss like my story, I want to sort of I think this is a very important thing to identify. Like, family that I'm in, where I'm born, I'm very lucky. And what you grow into is very much potluck, right? You know, everyone is born with different things that they have to deal with. My story is very much like from 13 or 14, I think I knew I was different to the other boys when they were all sort of talking about girls and whatever. And I was like,
Especially when you're on the swim team.
Yes, well, exactly. Yeah, so obviously being on the swim team as well. Obviously, you get friends and best friends who like you're both boys, and you know what it's like when you have sleepovers together. Like these things happen, right? Not necessarily, not sexual, of course, but the conversations happen. There was times where I was like, well, why do I not feel like this conversation is? I don't want to talk about it. So obviously, then you go on to Google. I went to Google and looked at things. I was like, okay, like, what does this mean? There's a picture of me in year 9 with one of my friends sent me the other day of me doing a gay test. I was 70% gay. So I was in school, which is really funny.
I'm disappointed that it was only 70% accurate, though.
Oh, like 100% gold star. The only reason it's not platinum is because obviously I was born without being a cesarean. Obviously, as we know. But yeah, and then going through school was tough because I was going through these changes personally. And I couldn't speak to my family or friends about it because, one, I didn't want my friends to know in case they spread it. Not that they would have, but that's sort of the fear you have. But when, you know, your family, you just sort of think, well, what are they going to say about me being different? And I wouldn't say I was bullied in school as such, but I was sort of picked on in the sense of I was taller than everybody. I was bigger physically, like a bit more overweight. Then my voice was pretty high for a very long time. And it's still, I think it's quite a femme voice now, to be honest, which is fine. Don't really care. Like, I'm okay with it. But in school, like, I'd have people like mimic my voice in classrooms in front of people all the time. And then it was just so like, well, what are they doing that for? Why am I the one to be picked on for potentially being different? And then I'd have them constantly messaging me, are you gay? Are you this? Are you that? And it was really like, well, if I am, so fucking what? What are you going to do? It was so much, it was consistent for such a long time that I made you think, oh shit, okay, I need to suppress this to try and be what I consider at that point normal, which there is no normal, obviously. And then, so cut long story short, I ended up meeting this person who I thought, okay, I really like them. I think I'd like to be in a relationship with them after a couple of weeks. So, you know how fast the gays move. And
we're talking hours usually.
Yeah, talking hours. So that was about 13, 14. I didn't actually find someone I wanted to be with until I was 20. So that's obviously a long time anyway. And then the coming out process, I'm very lucky. So I came out to my best friend at the time, and she cried and I cried because like the world like shifted for me at that point. And then a couple of days later, I came down the stairs and was like, I'm going to tell my mum. I'm going to tell my mum. I went into the kitchen and I sat on the side and was like, right, mum, I got to tell you something. Turn around, she's peeling potatoes for some reason. It's just a vivid memory. She leans back and goes, I've always wondered.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was like, what do you mean? What have you always wondered? She goes, I've always wondered if you were gay. Not that it's a problem, but I've just always wondered. It's taken you a while, sort of thing. And I was like, well, that's not the only thing. I've got a boyfriend. And she was like, all right, okay, well, we'll have to meet him then, won't we?
We're going to need more potatoes.
I was like, yeah, that was it. So I was very lucky with that. My mum told my dad for me. He was emotional, but it wasn't emotion of, oh, my son's gay. It was, oh, I don't want him to be treated any differently because I love him for who he is. And I don't want him to be made to feel any less. And then my sisters as well. My one sister got quite emotional about it because she was like, well, I wish you told us sooner because I didn't want you to go through this on your own because it's such a big thing to deal with for such a long time. And the fact you've dealt with it from being a teenager to an adult and only just recently coming out, you're going through a lot and we didn't know and we could have helped you see that it's okay. And my other sister, then she was the one to find out last in my family. And she sat there and looked at me and goes, before we go on to anything else, am I the last one to know? And I was like, yeah. And so, but regardless of you being gay or not, she goes, why am I always the one to find out news last? Like, what is it to do with, why doesn't anyone want to tell me news first? And then we quickly squashed the fact that I was gay there and then by her being more bothered about the fact she was the last one to find out.
But how wonderful is that they're literally like, it can be a joke or they can joke about it rather than it being like such a big deal. That's really wonderful. I especially like that when you were talking on behalf of your mum, you went more Welsh.
I go really Welsh. Oh, great.
You went more Welsh and I was just like, okay.
She is super Welsh. I mean, there is, they probably won't listen to this podcast, but I'm going to be completely transparent because this is all about being transparent, right? So my brother-in-law, he is not a fan of me. And he's known me since I was like 12. And I came out and she told him. And I think his reaction was very strange. At that time, they're going to get married as well. And he sort of turned around to my sister and said, well, if that's the way he wants to be, then he's not going to be invited to the wedding and he can't come into the house and this, that, and the other. And obviously at that time, he's known me for what, 8 years, 9 years? You would have seen me grow up, really. And he's, yeah, so his attitude even now, 6 years on, is very much the same of, if we're in the same room, wherever I am, it doesn't exist. I don't exist. It's, you know what? Do you know what I mean? It's very much even to the smaller point of, oh, who wants a cup of tea? He'll ask everyone and just skip me. It's very awkward because you care and love for your sister, obviously, but at the same time, you have someone who has a bit of rage about you against them. So that's that's the only bit of, I would say, homophobia or disagreements about my sexuality I've actually had in life, which I'm very lucky, to be honest.
I'm not going to speculate anything about him, but I all the behaviour like that I've seen in the past ends up being, indicative of something. But there's not a subtle bone in your body. It's mad that, like, usually people being exposed to a queer person makes them go, oh, actually, it's not that bad. And yet this seems to be the opposite. If he's known you for 8 years and he's still going, like, oh, well, I don't like it. It's like, well, what?
Yeah, it's very strange. It's a very strange one to me because what is going to happen here? I'm not going to change because there's nothing wrong with me. I think you need to change the attitude a little bit and have a conversation with me. My family have said, well, why haven't you tried to speak to him? And it's things like that. I'm like, well, why would I speak to him? Because I'm not the problem. If you've got a bridge, you build it, you get over it and come speak to me. Until that happens, I don't need to worry. I don't stress, As RuPaul says, I always say it, they don't pay your bills, Pay those bitches no
Right.
mind. So I don't pay anybody no mind who don't give a fuck about me, because at the end of the day, you're not paying my bills, and you aren't gonna, if you're here for any of my success, unfortunately, you won't be on that train because you weren't there when I was just being me. So
Yep.
I mean, you're not yourself for anyone else but yourself, right?
Exactly.
You're not being who you are to please someone else, and that's
Exactly.
kind of the most important thing. Speaking of as well, what is the most authentic that you've ever felt yourself?
I think the moment I felt most authentic was, I think, when my relationship ended as well, because I'd come out to be with someone, for someone, and it wasn't even coming out because I wanted to. It was more of a necessity to have a relationship, right? And I think once the relationship sort of ended and I had to sort of discover James single, but also a very amazing community that I've never been single in before, that was when I think I felt my most authentic, because I didn't have to act a way to please a partner. I had to act a way to please myself. And that might have been just, doing things that I was never allowed to do because it would upset somebody. And being your most authentic self might upset people, but as long as it makes you happy, that's what you've got to do, right? And that's when I felt the most happy, was when I was able to discover James, who had this bright light that was dimmed out for a little bit, and it just sort of relit that match to relight that fire. And that's how I've been since this has happened, really.
It's like you turned on the little gear light bulb and just refreshed it.
Yeah, because obviously people can come out as gay or as whatever they want to come out as, right? And still feel a pressure to conform to something. And until you sort of relinquish the pressure and relinquish the stress and just be you, you're never going to be your most authentic self. And that's why I said earlier, don't make work your personality. Don't make, like I say to people, I don't want to make my sexuality my personality, because it's a part of me. There's more to me than just that. So if you make something your personality, you almost have to conform to those, to those sort of things, and you don't have to conform to anything. Just be you. Don't break every mold you want to break.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personality is built up of all the different elements of you. It's not just one thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, sexuality is going to be part of your personality, but it doesn't have to be the be all and end all. And I think you're doing a good job of that, to be honest. Yeah, it gets mentioned, but it's a gay podcast after all. But,
I think, to be fair, to answer the question, it sounds like now is the most authentic you've ever felt.
It absolutely is. And do you know what? To have watched to go back to the TV show, to have watched myself back, I wasn't even hesitant. I wasn't like, oh, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like the way I'm walking. It was like, fuck me, I'm on a television show. Like, how crazy that is. And I'm like, I'm me, and I see that. And I see, for what I've seen in myself for so long, and to see that transpire onto television for the world to see as well, I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. There was no part of me on that show that I was like that. That's not arrogance. That's just being so comfortable.
Yeah, that's it. Be comfortable with yourself, because it's. You probably won't believe this, but I used to hate the sound of my voice. I used to hate the sound of listening to my voice back, and now I'm like going, I kind of have to like it because I hear it quite a lot.
Yeah, but your voice, honestly, you have a very cool, unique voice, and I think you could send me to sleep in a very good way. Like, honestly, you could do audiobooks, obviously you podcast. You could do so many things with that voice of yours. So embrace it.
To be fair, the amount of people requesting ASMR things, but I think if I was to do them, I do them weird. So I do them like a really freaky story, but I do it in a really relaxing way so you can fall asleep to some insane nonsense.
I would love that.
So during your whirlwind week of being on TV, it appears that you became Tia Coffey's latest TV husband.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Well, I bloody love Tia Coffey, right? I loved her on season 2 of Drag Race, and obviously it came out whilst we were on season 2 UK Drag Race, and it came out whilst we were in lockdown as well. So I think I binged it a few times, and the way they are over voice message or over DMs is the exact same. And Tia Coffey's voice is ingrained into my mind. So when they're like, oh, how was your day? It's very much like however they would say it. You imagine it? And yes, they make my day. We are very much husbands until Aaron comes back. But I think it's going to be a throuple situation because he's going to have to fight me for it now.
And there goes the OnlyFans content. Three-way crossover.
Wow, okay.
A mud wrestle for Tia Coffey.
I'll let you into a little bit of tea. I reckon her most recent song is secretly written about me.
Ooh.
It's not even a secret. She's probably tweeted somewhere that she wrote it about you.
We'll have to get her on and we can ask that question.
Yeah, we'll get her on. She'll be like, oh, those Guild Globals won me again.
Honestly, I miss getting voice notes from Tia at stupid times in the morning. Like, it's been a while.
Like it would be like 12 o'clock. She'd be watching the rise and fall and be like, I don't understand why so and so is doing this, this, and this. What about you? Where have you gone? Oh my god, Ramona's such a queen. I absolutely fucking love her. And like it was just like I was like, fuck me, this person. Their personality that you see on Drag Race obviously is what they are like in real life. And I'm like, what an amazing person to be around 24/7 because it's just so funny.
So good. So
I mean-
good. She tested out, when she released Outside In, she tested that by sending me voice notes from a taxi at 3 a.m., singing it, really drunk. Brilliant.
No way.
That's the one. That's the one.
That's
Love
tea.
it.
But speaking of well-renowned UK drag queen Tia Coffee, have you ever been in drag or anything, like as a laugh or,
No, do you know what? I've never done drag as a laugh. I do wear makeup sometimes, but it's more about like I like to do it as a no makeup look. So I'll do a bit of Charlotte Tilbury flawless filter and a nice bit of concealer as such. But
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't necessarily. I don't think for me it's not what I would want to do. And I also appreciate the art of what drag is. I prefer to experience the art of it.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think it's good because everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to be an amazing drag queen." So it's quite nice meeting someone who's like, "No, actually, I'll let other people do that."
I wouldn't be able to be a good drag queen. One, the makeup skills wouldn't be there. I probably would be taller than RuPaul in drag, to be honest. And I would be. I just would like. I don't know if I'd be very good. I think I'd be like, oh my god, like I just wouldn't. I think I take myself too seriously, else I'll be in drag.
Well, to be fair, I've had guys hit on me in drag, and I don't know if you've seen what I look like in drag, James, but I'm still bald. So it's the idea of just going, okay, you are very drunk, mate.
And you still have the beard as well.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's just I had someone being like, "Oh, you're beautiful," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, you're a walking Specsavers advert, mate." But
Take what you can get at the end of the day, because you might not get the attention forever. So take it.
yeah, that's a good point, actually.
That's where you want to find your husband, one who will appreciate you in and out of drag.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh yeah.
Would you, if you ever get married, would you get married in drag, or is it just sort of what you do as a hobby?
No, I do it as a hobby. Like, I wouldn't get married in drag. I'd probably keep it separate. I mean, this is the thing, though. You have it, like, obviously to lower the tone a little bit. Like, a lot of the conversation that happens in drag circles is, like, people who will have sex in drag and people who won't. Because, like, a lot of drag queens, like, the slinkier, sexy ones and stuff, they have a lot of guys, like, wanting that kind of fantasy and whatnot.
Yeah, of course.
And I genuinely, like, if someone tries to kiss me in drag, I'm like, nope, I'm working, So if I was with someone who I was going out with or whatever, I'd be like, no, wait till I'm out of drag. Like, I totally keep it separate. But a lot of people don't. Like, but I think it's because for me, it's a costume rather than myself.
I love that though. Like at the end of the day, like you can differentiate your drag art from who you are. Do you know what? I see the clothes women wear sometimes. Like, fucking hell, like, I wish men's clothes weren't so fucking boring sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like,
isn't it horrible? The idea of just how subdued everything is, like, for fashion for us, where it's the idea of, okay, so it's a wedding. Your choices are this suit.
All that.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. It's just the one. Or like, oh, do you want to do? Yeah, and it's really frightening that we need to get to a society more. And I think we're getting that with like with transgenderism, where we're actually getting to a society where it's like, oh, anyone can wear whatever the hell they want because limiting it by gender is stupid.
Well, actually, that's not true. Not everyone can wear what they want because there's people like Sam Smith who get slaughtered for whatever they want to wear, whereas Harry Styles, for example, is on the cover of a magazine being a bit more androgynous and he's championed for it. So why is
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's like, we'll give more leeway to someone who's like typically handsome kind of thing. And that's the battle that we still have. Even Harry Styles, it's like what he's doing is like, it's like dresses and floral type things or whatever. It's not really risque, where Sam Smith is literally pushing the boundaries. And I think it makes a lot of men uncomfortable. I think it's very much men complaining about going, hey, you're making me question stuff and I find life comfortable because everything's in neat little boxes. And then
I find I have friends who have sort of gone against Sam Smith who would share quite awful things about them on Facebook. And I'm like, you're part of this community. You're a gay male, and you obviously came out when it wasn't even as acceptable as it is now. And to be so against it, I find it really odd when gay men, like for me, are also homophobic.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me, because it's like there's never going to be a level of equality in life if the people who are in a minority group are making more minorities of minorities. It just doesn't make sense. Like life is never going to be good for generations to come.
But it's like politicians at the moment, like I just don't understand like the whole UK and America in particular, like the whole like anti-trans, anti-gay, anti-immigrant thing. I'm like, surely you're meant to be going into this job and all you want is people to be healthy, happy, buying homes, making money, which contributes to taxes, which then contributes to life.
Yep.
And that's surely what you want.
I think the problem with politics is, demagoguery is basically you go with, hey, what does the majority of people think? And I will play to that, and I will, play to that fear and whatnot. So it's the idea of, playing to all of the people who might vote for them who are scared about this and being like, yeah, we're also concerned about this thing and we're scared about immigrants and stuff. And it's like, even if there isn't actually a threat there, if you can make people feel like they need you and that you're the only one who can do something about this perceived problem they have, it's depressing how it works, really, rather than being like, can we not just be nice to each other? It's scary that we don't sort of think about how others feel more about like going, like even someone who bullies you, you still go, what are you going through? Why are you like this?
Yeah, you have to think like that, because unless you've had a perfect life and you just want to be mean because you're mean, then
yeah, if you're just evil,
now, like I don't know what's wrong with you. Like why I don't know. I can't imagine why people want to be mean to people. Like, what satisfaction do you get in your day-to-day life to make someone feel shit?
And it can't be better than actually having people be happy, because I think the greatest satisfaction is doing something and seeing that it brings someone happiness, in my personal opinion. Girl.
So, shall we do something a little bit more fun than talk about the terrible state of the world? Do we fancy a game? So, every week we have a nice little game. It is the guest of honor versus one of the two hosts who...
Bagsy, not me.
I don't think we've ever won, basically. Yes, this week, Bagsy, not you. It is going to be James versus Glenn, because I've given up on asking velvet questions now.
I have utterly failed twice in a row now, which I'm taking it as a badge of honor that I'm so terrible at the game.
Well, I mean, the prize is a badge, so if you want to make yourself a badge that just says badge of honor, you can.
It just says fail.
This week, I tried to think of a way of doing a Rise and Fall themed game that wasn't just about the show. And I thought, nope, I'm just going to do a Rise themed game. So, in turn, I'm going to give you each 3 artists and songs from a certain year. And I want you to tell me who rose to the top and sold the most singles.
Ooh, I like this one.
That's
And it's the top. So it's the top 3 selling songs of that year as well. So they all did sell very well. One of them sold more than.
Sorry,
So
before we
you
go,
pretty much
Glenn,
got-
how old are you?
25.
You're 25. Shut up.
No, this is
No.
25 in gay
No.
years,
I thought that
Okay,
was
so
going to follow
nothing-
if
nothing-
you look so young, but okay.
That's why we're shocked. It was
Nothing-
25. Wow.
Nothing is from before 2005. So I think that's the earliest one. Did I even go with that one? I might not have even went that far back. So we'll start with James, as we always do. We start with the guest. So in 2009, which of these artists and which song came out on top? Was it Lady Gaga with Just Dance, Lady Gaga with Poker Face, or Black Eyed Peas, I Got a Feeling?
Oh, that got really tough at the end, you bastard.
Ah.
Okay,
Is it
so when
Black
I was researching this, they're all quite hard.
Yeah, oh, shit. I'm going to say Black Eyed Peas.
It is not Black Eyed Peas. It was Poker Face.
See, I thought it was Poker Face, but then at the end I was like, oh, actually, because I knew Poker Face did better than Just Dance, but yeah, bloody hell.
No, the gays came out on top with this one.
Okay.
So Glenn, in 2012, who came out on top? Was it Fun and Janelle Monáe with We Are Young, Carly Rae Jepsen with Call Me Maybe, or Gautier, Somebody That I Used to Know?
It's easy.
Ooh.
Is it?
Somebody that I used to know?
Correct.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say.
I was shook. I thought it would be Carly Rae Jepsen, which felt very well deserved. Okay, James, 2019. Was
Okay.
it Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber with I Don't Care, Louis Capaldi with Someone You Loved, or Lil Nas X with Old Town Road?
These are so hard. What are you doing to me? I told you I'm not smart. I'm gonna say Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber.
Nope.
Can I have another
Louis
guess?
Capaldi. No. One
That's
shot.
it. I think when there's only 3 options, having 2 guesses is a bit.
Louis Capaldi won that one. Okay, Glenn, who is currently winning, which is genuinely
Yay.
a shock. But this one I was a little bit like, I think this is maybe the most obvious. In 2008, was it Alexandra Burke with Hallelujah, Duffy with Mercy, or the X Factor finalists with their cover of Hero?
Oh, that's Alexandra.
It is Alexandra.
Is this just for UK or worldwide?
UK?
I was gonna
UK
say,
charts.
right, okay, all right, okay. I'll think a bit better now then.
Yeah. Think in the mindset of a UK citizen.
Right.
So in 2010, then James, was it Matt Cardle with When We Collide, Bruno Mars with Just the Way You Are, or Eminem and Rihanna with Love the Way You Lie?
Ooh.
Bruno?
Nope, it was Love the Way You Lie.
Oh, okay.
Arguably the
Oh.
best of the 3 songs.
Hmm.
Glenn, we're going back to 2017. Was it Ed Sheeran with Shape of You? Was it Ed Sheeran with Castle on the Hill? Or was it Daddy Yankee and Bieber with Despacito?
Ooh.
Oh.
Also, just to point out, in the top 10 that year, there were 4 Ed Sheerans. Quite a lot.
Really?
I'm torn between Shape of You and Despacito.
I will tell you that one of those is the correct answer.
Oh,
Hang on, we've just told
I knew
James
it
we
wasn't
can't
Castle on
cheat
the
this
Hill.
way.
That's all right. He's ruled one out.
Despacito. No, Ed Sheeran.
Incorrect. You're terrible.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I'd
too
say Ed
late.
Sheeran.
No, it was Shape of You was one of the highest selling singles. Okay, James, back to 2006. Was it Leona Lewis with A Moment Like This, Niles Barkley with Crazy, or Shakira with Hips Don't Lie?
I'm gonna go with Leona. Oh, wait.
Niles Barkley, Crazy.
I'm not gonna
Really?
lie.
You know what? Actually, I would have got all these right. I'm really surprised at how well I'm doing in my head here. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I would have went Shakira or Leona for that.
In America,
I was
maybe, but
off with this one. Yeah, this is UK. Remember?
yeah, Niles Barkley was massive here, maybe not in America.
So disappointed in myself.
I was disappointed in myself when I was reading these. If I'm honest, I thought I knew music until I read these. Glenn, 2011. Was it Adele with Someone Like You, LMFAO with Party Rock Anthem, or Maroon 5 and Christina Aguilera with Moves Like Jagger?
Christina.
Nope, it was Adele.
Oh, that would be, yeah. Watched a documentary on Netflix the other day. Very good documentary.
Very good. I mean, I don't think any time Adele's released a single it's not been best-selling. Okay, James, 2018. Was it Drake with God's Plan, Calvin Harris and Dua Lipa with One Kiss, or George Ezra with Shotgun?
George Ezra?
Nope. Calvin Harris and Dua Lipa.
Wow.
I thought it would have
Genuinely
been
terrible.
George Ezra.
I would have thought that, yeah.
Not with
I've
that
seen-
song. That was
I've seen him before, like he was famous, because he was supporting Tom Odell at Manchester.
I thought you were just going to say, like, down one of the Chippies and Shields.
He's probably got some big
Alright.
bollocks, though, haven't he? Because his voice is so deep.
Yeah.
Well, you have to
Like,
find out,
he's
James.
actually
This is the
heavy.
important research we need to be doing.
Double-hander.
He's actually only got one leg. The other one is just his balls in a shoe.
Yeah.
That's how big they are.
You heard it here
Glenn, I guess
first.
we
It
know-
might be a lie.
I guess we know you've won already, but let's do your last question.
Rude.
2015. Was it Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars with Uptown Funk? Was it Hosier with Take Me to Church? Or was it Omi with Cheerleader?
Uptown Funk.
Correct. Well done. I'm gonna ask the question even though I know the answer. Velvet, who won?
I'm afraid with a ludicrous 4 points out of 5, which is I'm not quite prepared for, against James's paltry 1. It's Glenn.
Yay!
Well done, Glenn. What I've got
That
to
is
say is, right,
impressive.
losing is the new winning, so that's what we've got to take from it, yeah?
Nobody is a loser on this podcast. You are both winners. One of you just gets a gold badge and one of you gets a silver badge. So nobody loses.
I'm a
One
loser.
just gets a nicer spray. Yeah, Velvet loses by not playing.
Yeah.
Shall we do the tiebreaker just for a laugh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So tiebreaker, it's not as wild as normal, because normally I do like something stupid like how many views does this video have on YouTube, and it's impossible to guess. This one's a slightly smaller number. So I'll give you each one chance to give me a number. Since 2014, how many times has an Ed Sheeran song been in the top 10 UK selling song?
It's a number, so you can't just say too many.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that is correct. James, give me a number.
So how many times has an Ed Sheeran song been in the top 10?
Top 10 selling for the year since 2014. So not just the top 10, because I couldn't count that.
Probably going to be such an uneducated guess. 30?
Love knowledge. 30. What about you, Glenn? How many Ed Sheeran songs have ended up in the top 10 best selling for the year?
Just have 30 songs.
He
Ed
will.
Sheeran
Like
has 30
he's one of those crazy people where basically the entire album gets top 10 because of like.
Oh,
That literally
I was
happened.
going to go with
when
the
it was
much lower number now.
No,
So,
no. Let him go for the much lower
Yeah,
number because
like-
I've not had any help.
Fine. I'll stick with the original in my head answer. I was going to say 8.
It is very close. It's 10.
Oh,
So
What?
he's had many top 10 hits, but best selling only 10 in the last many years. Many.
Yeah.
9 years. 9 years.
if you, man, I'm
Yeah.
so competitive. I fucking hate losing, honestly.
Yes, that was a game. Well done, Glenn. You emerged victorious for the first time in a long time.
Well done,
I'm
Glenn.
quite concerned now because I used to hold the record. So
That's it, but
Cool.
it means that all three of us have got a gold Stu Peter badge, technically. All three of us have
I
had a
don't
win.
because I gave mine away. I
Whose
gave
fault
mine
is
to
this?
Amanda. Yours, because you wouldn't make me another one.
No, because you gave them away at bloody DragCon. We were like, here's all these badges, and you're like, oh, just give them people.
To people that we owed them to. Dan.
No, you
Anyway.
gave one to somebody from the press room.
Yeah. It's
I mean, I was
we
thinking-
had the right amount of badges, and then
Look, it's called networking. Damn it.
well, no, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, James. It has been absolutely phenomenal talking to you. It's been really good talking about like all these different subjects, and it's been very nice and nuanced. Have you had fun?
Oh, I've had so much fun. Like, as much as I love having fun and a laugh, and like you said, being the sassy diva that we all like to be, like, I do enjoy having those proper like DMCs, those deep, meaningful conversations. So just thank you for letting me come on and be my authentic self.
No, it's been wonderful. Is there anything that you'd like to promote while you're here?
I guess just support me on social media at the moment. It's a funny one. It's a funny world at the moment. So follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, see what I'm up to. Obviously, if you haven't watched Rise and Fall and you really want to see what it's about, you can watch it on All 4 or Channel 4 on demand as well. It's such a good series. It's so juicy. You will absolutely love it. So give that a watch, stream that, support everyone from the cast. But yeah, give me a follow on social media and do message me. I will do my best to reply to you. And it's not because I'm handsome, it's because I'm busy. But yeah, please do just go and show me some support and just help a boy out.
No, that's brilliant. Stu, is there anything that Stu and Glenn, is there anything that you'd like to promote?
I think by the time this goes out, we'll have already gone to Totally Drag.
Yeah, that'll
So I
be
would
long in the
say-
past. That'll be in the rear view mirror by the time this goes out, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so give our footage a watch. James is going to be there with us. We're going to be doing some nice, cute little interviews. We'll get some footage. We'll have a fun time. So that, and also any of our coverage of Drag Idol UK as well.
You can follow me on social media. It's Glenn_K_H. It's now camping season, although when it's every day is a camp season for me. But yeah, if you know any places where I can pitch me tent, I will take a good recommendation.
I'm sorry, I
and-
thought you meant like camp, like camping it up season, not camping like going on a
Well,
pitch.
that
No,
was
he is.
kind
He
of
is
the-
really
that was the
excited to
joke
be
in the
wet in a
joke.
forest.
But yes, I am also going to be out in my tent. I love it. It's great.
There's nothing better than being moist and in nature, I've often felt. You can catch me at thevelvetsnatch.com and on my Instagrams and stuff. I will be on the Girl Global videos doing interviews for DragCon UK. And you can also catch me, bizarrely, on the Nerdy Up North podcast. Look for that on Google, which is quite fun. And yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much, dear listener, for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed. And let's just say goodbye. Should we try after 3? 1, 2, 3. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.